Finally to the point where we get to do a little bit of work inside the house, and it's kind of nice because it's air conditioned. What we're going to do today is install the poles on all of the cabinetry in the house. So we're going to start out in the kitchen. We've got our drawer poles, and we need to get them installed on all the cabinets and all of the drawers. And we're going to do a little review on the Rockler Deluxe Drawer Pole Jig. We're going to go ahead and pull this baby open, get it set up so we can go ahead and mark all the cabinets. And while we're installing some of the drawer pulls, I will go over a few life lessons I've learned on cabinetry and why it is very, very important that you measure 15 times and only drill holes once. So we're going to be doing a review of the Deluxe Drawer Pole Jig from Rockler. In the past, I've used the really inexpensive drawer jigs to install the hardware, and the results were less than desirable. So we're going to show you all the parts and components for this jig from Rockler, and we're going to put them to good use. I was incredibly happy with the results that came out of this, and I would highly recommend this product to anyone that's even going to do just one house. Alright, we've got some T-nuts that slide into the track. Okay, set those with just nuts. A couple different blocks. I've got this block which gives me the adjustments left to right so we can make it consistent over and over again. And we're going to start with that one. This is more for drawers. So these components here are for using this piece of plastic in this configuration here. So you could use this piece of wood along with the front plate and not have the side stop, which is what this is. I'm going to use it in this configuration because I think I can set this up to be used for the cabinet doors and for the drawers. And we're going to go ahead and start out with this and lock it in and get it moving forward from there. Well, first things first, we have to figure out where the center of the drawer is in order to set the jig. So the jig basically works like this. And we adjust. I'm going to basically set the stop. So we have secured that, and now we need to figure out where the center of the drawer is and line the center up with the center mark on the jig. So the drawer, at least this set of drawers we're going to do, is 29.5. Now we need to figure out the up and down, and that's 5 3/4. So this drawer is the upper drawer for the set of cabinets. We're going to center the pole right in the middle of the drawer up and down. I need to get those lower set of holes exactly in the middle of this drawer and lock them in with the knobs. What I'm going to do, put some tape on here, some painter's tape, so I can mark on here so I can set it with the mark. So we know that we set the jig in the center, and we need to get this lower section of holes lined up right in the center of the drawer, and we're going to use our tape measure. So we need to get our jig lined up with that line. So we've got our jig in place. We have checked the height is correct. We've lined it up with the holes that are designed for our specific type of poles. We've double checked the height, we've double checked level, we've double checked the side angle. So this jig is perfectly set up for 4-inch apart drawer poles centered vertically and horizontally on the upper drawer. In my specific case, with the upper drawer being the same as the drawer over there, we can continue to use this setup for all of the drawers that are this size. Now, I personally, and my mother-in-law, who I'm doing this for, also wants these drawers to be the same distance down on the next larger set of cabinets. So we can use this same setup on the next drawer down. This comes into play for several reasons. One, I think it looks aesthetically pleasing. The other is on a lower drawer like this bottom one, if you were to put the handle down lower, it'd be more inconvenient to grab a hold of, and you'd have a tendency to touch the side of the cabinet. And with white cabinets, that's never a good thing. So there's something I wanted to point out. I've done drawer poles in 3 houses and a garage with cabinets, so 4 large projects. This is the first time I've used this style of jig. I got this style of jig to eliminate any problems that you could potentially have with putting holes in the wrong place. And I bring this up because I've done that. The first house that I ever bought, we remodeled and put brand new cabinets in, and I went to go do this. I was lucky they were brown cabinets. And I center punched all the holes, and I came back to go drill holes, and I said, you know what, I should double check that, and guess what? The holes were in the wrong place. I had used the incorrect spacing. On this specific jig from Rockler, the spacing is labeled very clearly. However, to prevent me from inadvertently getting in a rush, because there's a lot of cabinets, this is going to take a little while, I'm going to tape over every hole that I'm not going to use, which means I should only have 2 holes for my specific drawer pull, so that when I get in a hurry or start rushing through things or think I've got it under control complacency, I don't inadvertently use my hole punch or a drill and put the holes in the wrong place, because on white cabinets, that would be very, very difficult to hide. This spring-loaded center punch is specifically designed for this jig. It has, a very non-pointy tip, and it is designed for the hole size on this jig. This tip fits into the hole, you can see here, so that it self-centers in the jig. This comes with this Rockler jig, all lined up where it belongs, with those holes where they belong. We've got our center punch. We're going to hold the jig in the drawer, line up our center punch, hold the back of the drawer, and push. Okay, there's one. There's the next one. So we have our 2 holes. So we have our 5/32 drill bit, which is just ever so slightly smaller, or ever so slightly larger than the screws themselves. We're going to go ahead and drill a couple sets of these holes to get practice. Okay. First drawer pull installed. Now that we've done that and I've checked this and I made sure I'm good, I'm going to go ahead and mark all the drawers that I can with the jig the way it's currently set up. I'm going to come back and drill all those holes in one step, come back and put the screws through, and come back and snug them all up. It'll speed along the process quite a bit. There's all sorts of ways I could do this. In fact, I'm just going to take this drawer out so I don't inadvertently smash into the cabinet and leave a mark on a white cabinet that I can't fix, or don't want to have to fix, I should say. I need to figure out the left and right, so we're going to put a mark roughly there. I believe that would be it. Put a mark and just double check the other way. I want to point out, I realize how ridiculous it seems to double check this over and over and over again, and I suspect that guys that do this all the freaking time wouldn't make these mistakes. But reality is, the average person like you and me make mistakes. And I don't want to make a mistake on a finished product that is very difficult to fix. So it might seem goofy that I'm triple checking all these measurements and making absolutely certain, even with the help of this jig, but it is going to alleviate any mistakes down the road where I would have to come and fix something that I don't want to have to come and fix. We're moving on to the cabinet doors. This also comes down to aesthetics, sort of what you like, what you think looks good. There's sort of a general way to do it, and that is to center it on the board. Okay, that was a whole long explanation of, I called the homeowner, my mother-in-law, and I talked to her about placement because it's not my decision to make. She chose to go with what I would also have chose to do, but I didn't want to make the decision for her. So we've actually decided to place the poles centered left and right on this vertical board, and then the bottom hole will actually be in line with the top edge of the horizontal lower board, which brings it up about 3/4 of an inch or so up. So it'll go approximately there, because lower didn't look quite right. This is all personal preference. You can do it however you'd like. But in our case, that's where we're going to do it. So now we have to reset our jig to support that. So we've got our cabinet door. We need to set our jig to where it lines up with our holes there. In order to do that, we need to get rid of our stop momentarily and position our jig based on a measurement we're going to mark on the blue tape. So this board is exactly 2 1/4 inches wide, which means it would be 1 1/8 inches here. It's actually just over that, so we'll go scotch on the heavy side. In order to get our jig to line up there, we're going to loosen up our screws, move our jig out so that one of the holes actually is right on the mark. Slightly snugged up, and we're going to bring it down and drive our other one in so it is right on the mark. And snug that up. And then we're going to double check by using a line that is actually lined up. So by drawing that line all the way down the cabinet door, I should be able to overlap the holes, and you see I'm slightly off. So this lower one actually needs to come out. And now we're both on the line. We need to get that hole in line with this board. And that's pretty easy to set the stop, because we can basically transfer over with our stop, because it has a little step built into it. We can set our stop on the top of this board in my case and transfer over the mark to the tape, which is right there. So now we know our lower hole needs to be on that X. So we can hold our jig up in place, bring our hole to that mark, slide our stop back in, put it on the mark, and snug it down. Now we were able to do all of the right-hand cabinet doors. We'll have to reset this up for the left-hand cabinet doors, because you can't really transfer that to this. So we're going to do all the right-hand cabinet doors with this setup, and then we'll transfer it to the other one momentarily. Now, before I move on, I am going to say that this setup will work for the lower cabinets on the left-hand poles, because those poles are on the top. For example, under the sink, this cabinet door needs a pole on this side. This setup works for this side. So this would be the left hand of the lower set, because you just flip the jig over. So this is very fast in comparison to having to measure and mark every single one of these out. If you were even going to do this for one house, if you were to build a house with a contractor like we have done, even getting this semi-expensive jig for one set of cabinet doors to add that extra set of security and confidence to drilling and putting on your hardware, it would absolutely be worth it. I definitely would recommend this jig. It's very well built, very well thought out, and it is one of the best ones on the market that I have ever used, and I've used several different kinds. But you get the point with the jig to this point. I'm going to go ahead and mark all the cabinets with this setting, and we'll go over setting it one more time on the opposite side once I get done marking these out. Now that we have completed marking all of the one side of the cabinets, we have to do the other. So we have to reconfigure our jig. Fortunately, I can just take the stop block off, put it on the bottom in this direction. Once it's there, hold the stop block nice and square and snug the nut up. And now this is reset for the opposite side of the cabinet, so we can go do all of those. All right, this is going to wrap this one up. Overall, it went really well. I didn't make any mistakes, which I was super cautious about. As you saw, I measured twice, 3 times, 4 times even, to make sure I didn't have a problem. I was super concerned about the white cabinets. Any little scuff makes a big deal. I went a little overkill, making sure I taped over the holes because I had inadvertently in the past on a different job punched a hole in the wrong place, which is definitely not good. The extra attention to detail with the hole punch and the drilling the holes and everything, definitely worth it with the Rockler jig and how much it costs. I definitely would recommend this to anyone. There'll be a link down in the description. Go ahead and check that out. Make sure you have a couple of those extra longer bolts on hand, the number 8 by 32 by 1.5 inches. Those are for the double front, so the drawer box plus the face. That gets you that 1.5 inches you need to get the drawer pulls installed. This install went really well. Really happy with it. I hope you guys definitely got something out of it for sure. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, it always helps me out in the long run. Definitely check out some of these other links. I'll have my mother-in-law's house series, my garage building that tractor video series down there. Until next time, thanks for watching.